Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 62. 62 of the Unstoppable Entertainment Show, the most comprehensive entertainment news show on the internet. I am, of course, Nate Schaffner, otherwise known as the Unstoppable Nate. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing well. I have the day off, so I might do a couple of shows today, so we'll see what happens. I hope you guys are doing well. And if not, I hope that this show provides a brief mental break from whatever it is that you're going through. Um, so I'm glad to be back doing another episode. Before I get started, I just wanted to remind everybody. I want to remind everybody that if you like this show, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, spread the word, tell your friends. Also, if you have a comment, a question, or if you'd like me to talk about certain movies or franchises, you can email me anytime at the address listed in the description of this video. So, with that out of the way, let's get started with this. And this is something that is uh there's a few things that I'm going to talk about today that uh are I personally am very excited for. And one of them is this. So um one of the one of the I read a lot of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. I love all genres really, but in terms of there are, I've always said I in terms of watching things, like I'll watch anything. There are certain uh genres that I gravitate more towards, like science fiction, fantasy, and horror, but I'll watch anything. But when it comes to reading, I really kind of narrow it down to science fiction, fantasy, and horror, just because I think those are the three genres that you can really do anything with, really. And one of the there's a science fiction there was a science fiction author by the name of Octavia E. Butler, and she was a pioneer in the literary science fiction genre. Because she became the first uh, black woman to achieve national recognition for her work. Um, she was the recipient of the MacArthur Genius Grant. She won Hugo and Nebula Awards, and when she um, when she died, or after she died, she was posthumously inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame, and she even won a NAACP award. Now I bring up Octavia E. Butler because um, there one of the books that she wrote um, was this book called Parable of the Sower. It's called Parable of the Sower, um, and it's a kind of this dystopian. Um, it's a dystopian science fiction novel, um, and it's set in early 2020s California, and global climate change and economic crises uh, are happening all over the world, and it's leading to chaos and um, the protagonist of the film, um, um, it's it follows the protagonist's the central protagonist's name is Lauren Olamina, and the story follows as all this the story is about how all this anarchy creeps into this young woman's family and uh the her surrounding community. Um and it 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 it's it's one of those science fiction novels that begins as one thing and ends up leading to something that's much bigger than herself, you know. And it's I don't know too much about it. I need to read it. Um and it was uh, but that book was written by Octavia E. Butler. And one of the reasons I need to read it is because of this announcement. This article is on Variety, published by Angelique Jackson. Um, this article says that uh, Melina Matsoukas um, has found her next directorial project in Octavia E. Butler's landmark sci-fi odyssey, Parable of the Sower. Um, um, so Melina Matsoukas is going to direct a feature film adaptation of Parable of the Sower. Matsoukas um, was, let's see here. Um, her previous directorial um, movie, the last movie she directed, um, I want to make sure I get this right. Um, was the last movie she directed was a movie called Queen and Slim, which I have not seen, but I heard it was great. I need to see it because uh, I know that Daniel Kaluuya is in it, um, and he's one of my favorite actors working right now. But Melina Matsoukas directed that movie, and she will be her next directorial effort will be this film adaptation of uh, Parable of the Sower. Look, I think this is great. You know, from what I know about Queen and Slim, um, it's this crime drama revolving around a black couple, um, and um, and I've heard it's great. Um, and you know, if I may say so, um, you know, having an Afro Latina, having a black uh, female director adapt this book, I think is I think that is the right way to go in terms of the right voice to tell this story. Um, Octavia. Um, I think it's pretty clear from from the work that she's done that she everyone we need more stories from women, and we need more stories from women of color. And I think uh, given Melina Matsoukas' filmography, and given the story of Parable of the Sower, what little I know of it, I think this is this is the right creative way to go. I will say, I'm very excited about this because uh, Parable of the Sower has been on my reading list for quite some time, and I just haven't gotten around to it. And now it's because of this news, it's moved further up on the list. Like, I need to read it now. So yeah, um, I will say that there is a sequel to Parable of the Sower. It's called Parable of the Talents, and I want to read that as well. I don't know. I'm guessing that if this film adaptation of Parable of the Sower is successful and is a good movie, maybe they'll do a film adaptation of Parable of the Talents, but I don't know. We'll see. But I'm very excited about this news. I think this is the right voice to tell this story. And I'm very excited about this. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. Okay, so this next bit of news has me excited and nervous at the same time. One of the most, I think it's safe to say, one of the most influential video games ever is Metal Gear Solid. It was really hold on just a second. I'm getting um oh okay. So Metal Gear Solid, I think, is one of the most influential video games ever, and it helped kind of popularize like you would play the video game for an hour or two and then watch a cutscene, and then you would play the game for 30 minutes and then watch another cutscene. It was really it helped popularize that kind of cutscenes in video games. Like, you would watch a cinematic that helped tell the story, and then you would play the game, and it was one of the it helped popularize the stealth action video games as well. I would say it's definitely, again, one of the most influential video games, and on a personal level, one of my favorite video games ever. Um, I must have beat that game countless times. I will say, so here's a funny story. So, for anybody out there who's played Metal Gear Solid, here's a funny story. The first the first time I played Metal Gear Solid, actually the first time I beat Metal Gear Solid, I beat it without a memory card. I played that game for 14 hours. And I got to the if any of you guys remember Metal Gear Solid, there's that about halfway through the game, you're in that torture device and you have to press the button rapidly to stay alive. The first time I beat Metal Gear Solid, I actually died in that sequence and I had to start over. And I'm like, fuck. Now I have to start all fucking over. I was so tired. I was so tired by the end. But I went down to UDF and I grabbed a 6-pack of Pepsi and I'm like, let's do this, But the first time I beat Metal Gear Solid. I beat it in 14 hours. Then I got smart and went out and bought a memory card, and I beat it in about 8 hours. I fucking love Metal Gear Solid. That is one of the few video games that I know by heart. Like, if I picked that game up now, I would know exactly where to go and what to do and who, it's just ingrained in my memory. Well, there have been rumors and back as I think early as 2006, there have been rumors about Metal Gear Solid being adapted into a movie. And I'm like, oh dear God. They better not fuck this up. They better not fuck this up. Because if they do, it's one of those cases where, people will riot in the streets if they make a Metal Gear Solid movie and it's terrible and not faithful to the game. So, the Metal Gear Solid movie, it's been rumored and reports and various development. Like, it's been in development for like 20 years. It's crazy. Well, there is news about this. There is news, and this is the most concrete news we have. This report is on CBR, published by Jamie Levitt. Excuse me. Then the headline reads, Metal Gear Solid movie officially in the works at Sony. Sony Pictures announced today that it is officially putting a Metal Gear Solid movie into development. Final Destination Bloodlines directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein are attached to direct the adaptation as part of a new first look deal with Sony. Lipovsky and Stein said in a statement, Metal Gear Solid was nothing short of a groundbreaking cinematic masterpiece that forever revolutionized video games. We are thrilled and honored to bring Hideo Kojima's iconic characters and unforgettable world to life. So it's happening. It's happening now. And I'm guessing, so the directors of Final Destination Bloodlines, they've also got this animated Venom movie coming. So I'm guessing that this Metal Gear Solid movie, they're going to do that after the Venom movie. Let me say this. If Final Destination Bloodlines wasn't so fucking awesome, I'd be worried. But it was. Like, seriously, the Final Destination movies are nothing short of, I mean, they're cheesy. They're cheesy horror movies. Like you're not you're like I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like you watch those movies for the to see all the creative ways that people die in those movies, right? And nobody I can only speak for myself, but I never took those movies too seriously, you know, and I take horror very seriously. But those movies they're just fun. But Final Destination Bloodlines was legit awesome. Like it completely like let's just stop with the fucking cheesiness and let's make a seriously great horror movie. And they did, and it was awesome. And of course seeing Tony Todd in there, that was great. The I think this is going to be good, and here's why. Because I think they knew what they had with the Final Destination property, with the Final Destination franchise. They knew what they had, and they said, you know what? These directors were just like, you know what? We know what this franchise has been like in the past. Let's take it to another level and make it not so cheesy and make it a serious horror film. And I think, but at the same time, it's also a great Final Destination movie, you know. But so I think the care and the love that they showed with the Final Destination name, while also evolving it and making it a serious horror film, I think they're going to show that same love and care with a Metal Gear Solid movie. I mean, they're like when they say, you know, and sometimes these kinds of statements are lip service. But when they say, we are thrilled and honored to bring Hideo Kojima's iconic characters and unforgettable world to life. You know, sometimes those kinds of statements are lip service, but I believe these guys simply because of what they brought to the Final Destination franchise. I am so excited for this. I'm so excited for this because I believe in these guys and I believe that they're going to do this game justice, but at the same time, there is a small part of me. There is a small part of me. Like, for me personally, I don't know about anybody else, but for me personally, I know, like I said, I know that video game by heart. And I'm not saying they have to include anything and everything in this movie. But if they if this Metal Gear Solid movie overlooks important characters and details, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm going to notice. And I'm going to be like, there are certain things that happen in this video game. And I'm talking like the first Metal Gear Solid movie. Like, I played Metal Gear Solid 2, and that was... and I played a little bit of the other ones, but not much. But the first Metal Gear Solid, I played constantly. And again, I'm not saying that they have to include every little detail. But there are certain moments and there are certain characters and scenes in that video game that are really important to the story. And if they just skim over that, and again, I'm only speaking for myself. I know this video game by heart. I could pick it up now and it would be like I it would be like I never left. You know what I mean? It would be like, like riding a bike. But I hope they don't skim over the important stuff for the story. That's all I'm saying. Is like, as someone who knows this game by heart, I don't want them to. I hope that nothing important is left out. I don't think that it will, but but I am ecstatic about this. I am so thrilled for this. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Metal Gear Solid finally getting a film adaptation. Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Okay. So, moving on here. So, there's this horror movie coming that I believe I've talked about on a couple of previous episodes, called A Head Full of Ghosts, which stars David Harbour, Rebecca Hall, Bodhi Ray Breathnach, and Esme Creed Miles, which I'm really looking forward to. And there's been a new cast member announced for this movie. This article is on CBR. This article was published on April 9th. So Fiona Dourif, who is on The Pit, the HBO series The Pit, which I love. Fiona Dourif, who plays... I can never remember, I hate myself for this, I can never remember all the doctors' names on The Pit. Oh, she plays Cassie McKay. Fiona Dourif, a little ways down here, this article says, per Variety, Fiona Dourif has been officially cast as part of the ensemble for the upcoming horror movie A Head Full of Ghosts. And then this article continues. A Head Full of Ghosts tells the story of a suburban family whose life is torn apart when their teenage daughter's descent into madness becomes the subject of a reality show. 15 years later, her sister Mary faces her family's dark past with a journalist uncovering the nature of the evil force that undid them. This sounds so cool. This sounds so cool. Now, like, how would you feel if one of your family members went crazy and it became the subject of a reality show, and then, like, years later you have to deal with the trauma of that, and this journalist is trying to, I mean, that sounds really interesting, to be honest with you. Now, Fiona Dourif, she's great on The Pit. She's wonderful. And I am so excited for this movie. Now, Fiona, what's a little bit of trivia. So Fiona Dourif is, I think it's Dourif, or is it Dourif? It's I don't know. Fiona Dourif is the daughter of Brad Dourif. Now, you might say, Nate, who's Brad Dourif? Well, people, Brad Dourif played Grima Wormtongue in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. He also was the original voice of Chucky. And I believe Fiona Dourif. I haven't watched all of the original installments of the Chucky franchise. I believe Fiona Dourif appeared in one or two of them, but Fiona Dourif is Brad Dourif's daughter, which is kind of cool, you know. So it'll be great to see her return to the horror genre, and I really like her on the pitch. She's wonderful. And Rebecca Hall is going to be in this. That's going to be good. I am really looking forward to this movie. This sounds really interesting. Like, this descent into madness becomes the subject of this reality show, and then they have to deal with the trauma of this 15 years later. This sounds really interesting, and you know, it sounds like it sounds like it sounds like a really interesting take on the horror genre, you know, like something. What was the Cabin in the Woods? Has anybody seen Cabin in the Woods? It kind of sounds a little like that. But it sounds really interesting to me. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Fiona Dourif joining a head full of ghosts. Okay. So this next bit of news is a little disappointing, but it's not surprising. So, anybody, if you don't know, you should know. And then I will say, my closest friends and my family. And for anybody out there, if you don't know you should know that my favorite filmmaker ever is Steven Spielberg. He has certainly been. It's not just his movies that I love watching. I love watching him talk about movies, and I love watching interviews with him and talking about the creative process. And he has certainly been, when I was in film school making short films, the kinds of films, the way he uses the camera, he has certainly been an influence on me in my amateur in my less than amateur film director career. He's my favorite director, favorite filmmaker. So in but yeah, I remember, like, the first, one of the first movies that I remember seeing in the theater was the first Jurassic Park. So that movie will always be very special to me. And I mean, he's just, there's a reason why everybody knows his name. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, what more can I say? So for those who don't know, I think it was in 2010. So there was this book by Daniel H. Wilson called let me see here. I want to make sure I get this right. Okay, so uh, I think it was in 2010. So there was this science fiction novel by Daniel H. Wilson called Robopocalypse. And it's about it's a it's about a global uh, robot uprising, um, that is led by um, this powerful AI entity, and the story is told through oral histories of human survivors. Um, and it became a New York Times bestseller. And I want to say in 2010, 2011, soon after the novel came out, I forget what year the novel came out, but soon after soon after it became a bestseller, Steven Spielberg signed on to direct the film adaptation of Robopocalypse. And because of scheduling and various other issues, because, I mean, let's face it, he's Steven Spielberg and he's always busy. But because of scheduling and other issues, the film was put on hold indefinitely. And now it is being reported that the film is dead. It's been officially scrapped. This report is on Screen Rant, published by Fariba Rezwan. And a little ways down, it says Steven Spielberg's long-delayed sci-fi adaptation is officially abandoned. And then this article does go on to say, in an interview with Empire magazine via Games Radar, Spielberg realized that trying to make Robopocalypse, quote, was gargantuan. It was a company ender. It would have ended a whole studio that would have never made its money back, unquote. He ultimately, quote, decided it was going to be the most expensive movie I ever directed, and I wasn't ready to take that on, unquote. This article does go on to say, with the potential budget as high as $200 million, Spielberg elaborated that, quote, my company, DreamWorks, financed all these films, and I did not want to bring Robo into my own company because it would have just been too expensive for us to produce. And then I took it out to other companies. I didn't want to pay for it, but other companies were interested in paying for it as long as I was the director, unquote. It was eventually put on hold because, quote, I didn't want to do that to anybody because I couldn't guarantee the audience, unquote. Okay. One of the reasons that Steven Spielberg is my favorite director And I find this with uh, a lot of directors that I'm a fan of, but especially Steven Spielberg. One of the reasons that Steven Spielberg is my favorite director is because of how intelligent he is, and he realized, look, this is going to bankrupt an entire company. I really want to tell this story, but there's no way I can do that and um, and turn a profit. it can't happen. Like he said, it was a company ender. Like this company would go bankrupt. Um, and I mean, he's probably not wrong, you know. And he doesn't need me to tell him how smart he is, because again, he's fucking Steven Spielberg, right? You know, I mean, from a logistical standpoint, it was a smart decision to scrap this movie, because you know Steven Spielberg has always been very protective of his name. I mean, and um, you don't want to attach yourself to a movie, especially a movie that you're directing, if you think it's going to bankrupt your company. Because that would it would make him look bad, really, really bad, and you don't want to do that. You know, so from a logistical standpoint, he's absolutely not wrong. This is logistically a smart decision to make. He doesn't need me to tell him that, but I'm just voicing my opinion. Am I disappointed? Am I sad that we're getting one less movie from Steven Spielberg? Yes. Was I looking forward to this movie? Hell yes. Hell yes, I was. This would have been like if if that I Robot movie was good, you know. um no, seriously, was I looking forward to this movie? Hell yes. Hell yes, I was looking forward to this. But it makes sense that it's not happening. So I just wanted to um, talk about this for a minute. I personally, I had been following the production of this, or lack thereof, for quite a while, so I was sad to hear this. But again, this makes sense. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this Robopocalypse movie um, being scrapped. Okay, so moving on here. We're kind of living in an age where video game to film adaptations, excuse me, video game to film adaptations can be good, if not great. Like, we have The Last of Us, the Sonic the Hedgehog movies are really, really good. Hell, the third one is great. The third Sonic the Hedgehog movie is great. The Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movies burning up the box office. Even though I've heard it's not very good. Now, we also have movies like Uncharted. But we are kind of living in an age where, we're getting quality video game to film adaptations. I mean, hell, even Alex Garland is working on. There's this Elden Ring film adaptation coming. Well, we have another one coming. This article is on Joe Blow, published by Steve Saig. And this article says, so for those who don't know, CinemaCon, which is a it's the most important gathering for the motion picture theater industry, and it lets movie theaters know what movies are coming, and it basically brings theater owners, studios, and vendors to showcase upcoming films. And recently, the CinemaCon this year was, I think, this past weekend. And so this article is on Joe Blow, again, published by Steve Saig. This article says, one of the biggest pops during the Sony Pictures panel at CinemaCon 2026 was when the studio announced an R-rated animated feature based on the cult favorite From Software action game Bloodborne. In Bloodborne, a traveler journeys into a horror-filled gothic city full of deranged mobs and nightmarish creatures lurking around every corner. It has been praised for its challenging gameplay and its richly layered world, which players have spent years exploring. This sounds really, really cool. This sounds really, really cool. I don't know how else to put it. Sorry. This gothic horror video game, and I think, based on what I've read about the video game and what I just read, I think it would be really, really cool to lean into the horror and make it a straight up horror film. And now this article does point out that the film is produced by PlayStation Productions, lyrical animation, and creator and gamer Sean McLaughlin, better known by his pseudonym Jacksepticeye. Sean is a massive gamer who has spent years battling it out in the brutal world of Bloodborne for his over 48 million online fans. So, Sean McLaughlin is going to be a producer on this movie, which, is good news. Somebody who was actually involved in the video game is going to be involved in the movie. So I'm sure that he will have a lot of say as to how this movie turns out. Look, this sounds so cool. Again, I think it would be really cool to lean into the horror aspects of this and just make it a straight up gothic horror thing. That would be really cool. And again, having the person involved in the video game involved in the movie, I think that's good news. So jump in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about Bloodborne getting a film adaptation. Moving on here. You know, I've never, when it comes to film and television, I've always said, like, don't be ashamed of what you like to watch. You know, like, I'll watch anything. Um, you know, like what you like, and don't be ashamed of it, and own that shit. You know, and I have to say, one of the uh, um, just one of the series of movies that I really really adore is the Paddington movies. I just find them very charming and very kind of uh, they just put a smile on my face, and they're just very, you know, so sometimes you just need uh, the best way I can describe it is the Paddington movies have all the have all the qualities of good entertainment, and uh, you know, I love those movies. I love the Paddington movies. My wife and I went to go see Paddington in Peru, and we loved it. We thought it was wonderful. Um, well, there is news regarding the future of the franchise. um, this article is on Screen Rant, published by Graham Gutman. Um, After getting lost in the jungles of Peru, Paddington is heading back to the big screen for another adventure. And then this article goes on to say Studio Canal, which is the studio that distributes the films, has revealed at CinemaCon that Paddington 4 is officially in development. Details are sparse on the upcoming film as of right now. You know, I mean, I'm so happy about this. I mean, I would say, uh, you know, those Paddington movies are great. They're great. Um, I I I think I read, at least in terms of, hold on. I, I I think in terms of the first two. I mean, my wife and I, we loved all three, but I think I think in terms of the first two, I read like one bad review of between of the first two. I think I read like one bad review, and I'm like, who hurt you? You know, like, why would you give a bad review to this movie? This is wonderful. You know, I mean, I think I think they've I these Paddington movies are so charming, and they're so heartwarming, and I people love them, and I'm one of them, and my wife is one of them, and I think they really know what they're doing with this series of films. And I think this series of films, and I'm not being sarcastic. I think this series of Paddington movies could go down as one of the best series of films ever. I mean, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to Paddington 4. Just be, again, sometimes you just need good entertainment. And sometimes you just want to have fun at the movies, and that's exactly what these movies are. So I'm really looking forward to this. It'll be interesting what kind of story they're going to tell. But yeah, so I'm looking. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm looking forward to it. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Paddington 4 being in development. All right, so let me see here. Going back to the video game to film adaptation. There's this survival horror video game called 99 Nights in the Forest. And, like I said before, we're kind of living in this age where if you get the right creative people involved, video game to film adaptations can actually be really, really good. So there's this survival horror video game called 99 Nights in the Forest. It's not even a year old. And there's been movement on a film adaptation. This article is on The Hollywood Reporter, published by Boris Kit. Survival horror video game 99 Nights in the Forest movie in the works at 20th Century Studios. This article says 20th Century Studios is jumping into the video game adaptation business. In a competitive situation, 20th Century has picked up theatrical film rights to the popular game 99 Nights in the Forest, developed by Grandma's Favorite Games and hosted on Roblox. It marks the first time the division is tackling a feature adaptation of a video game, which has emerged as a top source material for Hollywood movies and series under Disney ownership. No writer or director is attached at this stage, nor are any producers involved. But it does say the game's developers will serve as executive producers. 99 Nights in the Forest is an action survival game where players must endure 99 nights in a haunted forest while attempting to rescue 4 lost children and fight the vicious creatures inhabiting the deep woods. Awesome. Awesome. Come on. Surviving 99 nights in a haunted forest while attempting to rescue 4 lost children and fight the vicious creatures inhabiting the deep woods. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Look. Even though no director is attached, here's what I'll say. Look, there's another survival horror video game series that got adapted into films called Resident Evil. Hopefully, this 99 Nights in the Forest movie doesn't turn out like the Resident Evil movies. I think this could be really, really entertaining if they really lean into the survival horror aspect of it. Like, don't make it an action thing like they did with Resident Evil. Make it a horror thing. Make it survival horror. Make it a really kind of intense kind of movie. I think that could really work. So I don't have much more to offer since there's not many people. There's no director attached or anything. But I will say this sounds really entertaining and really kind of like a white knuckle kind of situation. This could be a real white knuckler kind of a movie. I hope it's good. So yeah. So have you guys played 99 Nights in the Forest? Are you familiar with it at all? What do you guys think about a film adaptation? Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Okay. So this next bit of news is really interesting. So one of my favorite directors, one of my favorite filmmakers is Robert Rodriguez. He has a very distinct style to his movies that I love so much. Even with the more family-friendly stuff that he's done. Like, he created the Spy Kids franchise, which, those movies have an audience. Say whatever you want about them, but they have an audience. And they're fun. They're fun. It's fine. But he has a very distinct style to his movies. He films, edits, and does the music for all his movies. He does it all himself, which is awesome. It's badass. I want to tell this story real quick. So back in 2003, my very best friend Mike Shreve and I went to go see Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And I don't know about him, but I had no idea that it was so there's this trilogy of movies called El Mariachi, Desperado, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I had no idea that Once Upon a Time in Mexico was the third installment of that franchise. I had no idea. I just thought the movie looked awesome. And I was like, hey, we should go see this movie. And we just thought it was the coolest shit we had ever seen. Like, guitar cases that fire flamethrowers and machine guns, and Willem Dafoe playing this cartel leader, and Antonio Banderas just being such a badass, and Selma Hayek. Oh my God, Selma Hayek. That woman is so gorgeous and talented. That movie, we just thought that was the coolest shit we'd ever seen in our lives. And it was directed by Robert Rodriguez. But I love Desperado. I love Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I love El Mariachi. What else did he do? He directed From Dusk Till Dawn. I actually thought his Alita Battle Angel, I thought it was decent. I think he was the perfect person to direct it. But I thought it was decent. I don't know about anybody else. He did Sin City. He did Machete. And obviously, The Spy Kids franchise, being the creator of that franchise, but he hasn't really. I don't think he hasn't had a theatrically released movie since Alita Battle Angel. He's done some work. He's done a lot of work with Netflix. Like I think he's done a lot of Spy Kids stuff with Netflix, but he hasn't really had a theatrically released movie since Alita Battle Angel. Until now. This article is on Variety, published by Matt Donnelly. Now, this is interesting. Robert Rodriguez is returning to the kids and family space with an original Christmas film at Paramount Animation, Variety has learned exclusively. The deal marks the first big development title for the label's new leader, Jennifer Dodge. Excuse me. The Naughty List will be written, directed, and produced by Robert Rodriguez. The movie is based on a concept Rodriguez has been developing for more than a decade, originated from drawings and stories created with and for his children. Paramount sources added the film will combine holiday themes with a modern, next-generation approach. Let's see. Rodriguez took to social media on Monday to confirm the news and share the lore behind some characters, including one he drew on his own script cover page of small kids scaling a giant snowman. A little trivia. Way back in the day, I was a cartoonist before I became a filmmaker. So I'm super pumped to share that I'm returning to one of my first loves, drawing and animation, and directing my first animated feature with Paramount Animation. He wrote, calling the project a funny, irreverent, surprising Christmas tale for the whole family. Cool. And it's, it's awesome that this is going to be animated too. And it's awesome that it's going to be Robert Rodriguez doing it. He has a certain, I'm really starting to get into filmmakers who have a very distinct style. And Robert Rodriguez is definitely one of those. The way he films action sequences, he has a very distinct style. I love that this is going to be, I'm assuming, because it says Paramount Animation, so I'm assuming it's going to be in theaters. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward that it's going to be his first theatrical feature since Alita Battle Angel. And with a name like The Naughty List and Robert Rodriguez, I mean, come on. I'm anticipating seeing what this movie is going to be. Like I said before, Robert Rodriguez has had success in the past with the youth demographic, with Spy Kids. Hopefully this will be a unique blend of the adult and family fanfare. But we'll see. I'm interested in it because it's Robert Rodriguez, because he's awesome. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about The Naughty List, directed by Robert Rodriguez for Paramount Animation. All right. A couple more things here to talk about on this episode. So, one of um, one of my favorite movies of the last couple of years was this horror movie. It was kind of this horror mystery movie called Longlegs that starred Nicolas Cage. And it is definitely one of, you know, and I want to be really careful here. I would say over the past maybe 10, 15 years, Nicolas Cage's performances have ranged from "What the hell are you doing?" to "You are the greatest actor in the history of ever." Longlegs, as far as his performances over the past 10, 15 years, Longlegs is one of his best. It's so creepy and just uncomfortable. And I want to make there's a I watched that performance in his performance in Longlegs, and it comes across as a very androgynous performance. That was, again, one of his best ever. And I loved that movie so much. Not a lot of people saw it. Well, actually, that's not true. Um, um, I got my movies mixed up. Longlegs was a major hit. It made it was one of the it was, I think it was distributed by A24. It was definitely the highest grossing independent film of 2024. I know that much. It was distributed by this studio called Neon, and it had the best opening weekend in Neon's history. It made $128 million on a $10 million budget. So I was wrong. It was a major box office hit. And I loved that movie so much. It's so delightfully creepy. Well, and it was directed by Osgood Perkins, who did a fucking phenomenal job directing that movie. Well, there's news regarding the future of Longlegs. This article is on Variety, published by Angelique Jackson. This article says Nicolas Cage and Osgood Perkins are expanding the Longlegs universe with a second installment of the new horror movie franchise. Let me see here. Um, Osgood Perkins will again write and direct the yet to be titled movie, revealed on the 14th of the month. If you know, you know. With Cage returning to star and produce, details of the project are being kept under wraps. So Osgood Perkins, here's another interesting bit of trivia. Osgood Perkins, who directed Longlegs, he also directed The Monkey. Um, which is, I believe, yeah, it's based on that Stephen King short story. Osgood Perkins is the son of Anthony Perkins, who played Norman Bates in the original Psycho. So it seems fitting that Osgood Perkins has made a name for himself making these horror films. So there's going to be another installment of the Longlegs franchise. Now, it says here that details of the project are being kept under wraps. I have heard rumors, and I should stress these are rumors. I have heard rumors that it won't necessarily be a sequel, as in terms of the character and the story. Like Nicolas Cage is going to be in it as Longlegs. Or as as Longlegs. Nicolas Cage is going to be in it as Longlegs, but it's going to be an original. Like he will be the only returning character. Like it's going to be a new story involving the Longlegs serial killer. So it's going to be kind of a standalone sequel. Like it's not going to be a continuation off the first one. I love this. I love this so much. I cannot even stress to you how much I loved Longlegs. Like, I love horror movies that are uncomfortable to watch. I don't know what that says about me. Like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to watch, but I love it. I love it because it's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And given the huge success that Longlegs had, I have no doubt that this sequel, this standalone sequel, if the rumors are true, I have no doubt that the sequel is going to be a huge hit. It's going to be huge. You know, and Osgood Perkins will again write and direct. That's awesome. Nick, I cannot even stress to you again, like Nicolas Cage's Longlegs is this Satan worshipping serial killer, and it's so disturbing and so. Again, it's this very androgynous performance, which I wasn't expecting at all, to be honest with you. I am so excited for this. I cannot wait for this. I want this movie now, so that I can tell people, guys, go see this fucking movie, because it's demented and twisted and disturbing and everything you want from a great horror film. I'm glad that Osgood Perkins is coming back to write and direct. I love that. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about another installment of the Longlegs franchise. All right, one last bit of news here. So, you might remember I talked about a couple episodes ago that there were rumors and reports going around regarding the Superman sequel, Man of Tomorrow. That there were rumors and reports going around that Maxima, the character of Maxima, who is this alien conqueror who with superpowers who travels to Earth in search of a suitable mate. which is bonkers awesome. There were rumors and reports that the character of Maxima was going to appear or is going to appear in this Man of Tomorrow, this sequel to the 2025 Superman movie. Well, those are no longer rumors. This article is on CBR, published by Jamie Lovett. This article says, Star Wars Andor star Adria Arjona has been cast as Maxima in James Gunn's upcoming Superman follow-up, Man of Tomorrow. Let me see here. So yeah, Adria Arjona is going to play Maxima. Now, she was in Star Wars Andor. I know that, but I haven't watched the show. I know she's in Andor. She was also in. She played the love interest in in the Morbius movie with Jared Leto, which was that movie is a small pile of shit. It's not a giant pile of shit. It's a small pile of shit. But she played the love interest in that movie, and she was solid in that movie. You know, there were a lot of problems with that movie, but she wasn't one of them. So she's going to play Maxima, and like I said, Maxima is this alien conqueror with superpowers who travels to Earth in search of a suitable mate. Now, I have a theory, and this theory goes along with Maxima's first appearance was in Action Comics. This article does point out that Maxima's first appearance was in Action Comics number 645 in 1990, where she sets her sights on Superman as a potentially suitable consort since his enhanced strength, durability, and ability to fly rival her own. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That is immediately what I thought of. That character arc is immediately what I thought of when I first heard the rumors and reports that Maxima could be in this movie. And now Maxima is going to be in this movie. I was like, traveling to Earth looking for a suitable mate. I wonder who that could be. I wonder I wonder if they're going to go with that. If they're going to go with that route, and seeing as how it's James Gunn and how much he loves DC Comics, it, it's a good possibility. And uh, hijinks will ensue, as they say. Um, Look, I think I think this will be a good high profile project for Adria Arjona to be in after the wild debacle that Morbius was. I mean, Andor was like a high profile film. Um, and I think this. I think she's going to be great, and I think this is going to be really interesting. This idea of Maxima coming to Earth looking for a suitable mate and seeking out Superman, and Superman's going to be like, no, not really, not so much. I got Lois over here. It's great. What I got with her is pretty damn good. So back off, and shit's gonna get real. I'm so looking forward to this, and we're also gonna see. I think this movie could be really. I hope. See, I say this, but then my fears were alleviated about the first movie, because I had a fear about the first movie that there was going to be too many characters in the first movie, and it was just going to be a mess. And I'm like, and that didn't happen. Like, no, there's a lot of characters, but it's still a Superman movie, and a damn good one at that. So this idea of Maxima going to be in this movie now, plus Superman and Lex Luthor teaming up against Brainiac. Oh my, this movie's going to be wild. This movie's going to be wild. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Adria Arjona appearing as going to be playing Maxima in Man of Tomorrow. Well, that will about do it for this episode. I will be on a little later. I'm working my way through the Marvel TV shows right now. I just started season 2 of Iron Fist. I finished Luke Cage. I loved Luke Cage. Luke Cage is great. That ending was just like, whoa, I see what you're doing. I just started the second season of Iron Fist. I will say I like it a lot better than the first season of Iron Fist, but it's still kind of mediocre so far, but we'll see. So I will be on later to talk about more cool shit. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoy the next episode and continue to enjoy the show in the future. As always, if you have any comments or questions, you can email me or anytime or leave a comment. And until later today, I will see you at the movies.